Hi, this is Sarah Simmons from NBC The Voice, and you're listening to Dispatch Radio.
All right, folks, we have a great guest on with us. You may know her from season 5 of The Voice, but she's been on stage with some greats like Kip Moore and Charlie Daniels. She has a great new album out called The Ride. We have to welcome Olivia Henken. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Oh, we're so blessed. Thank you so much for fitting us into your busy schedule. And I want to begin with your album. I have only heard a couple of the tracks. I don't have the album yet. So tell us a little bit about going to the studio and kind of making the dream the reality.
Yeah, I recorded The Ride about 3 years ago in Nashville, so it was an incredible experience, and I was able to really learn the ropes of recording and how all of that works. That was my first full-length album I've ever recorded, and I'm about to be in the studio at the end of this month recording 3 new original songs for an EP that'll be out in April sometime, hopefully in mid-April, maybe late April. So I'm excited to get new music out and everybody to hear what I've come up with since being on The Voice.
That's fantastic news. And let's go right to The Voice then, because I love the show's sort of disparages. Like it seems like your blind audition was kind of the norm, which I don't quite get all the time. You hear someone sing, and you belt this out, and only one of them spin around. I mean, now I have to ask, are you torn at that point where you're like you see someone, you're like almost like you want to cheer, like you made it, and at the same time you got to keep going? I mean, how does that play out in your mind?
Well, whenever I did my blind, I did Two Black Cadillacs by Carrie Underwood, and I was kind of skeptical to do a Carrie Underwood song with how people have always said that I resemble her, but the backs of the chairs are turned and they can't see you, so that was a positive thing. And then I worked very hard on the beginning of the song. I can belt songs all day long, and like Christina said on the show, I'm a wall of sound. So I really worked really hard on the beginning and controlling my low range voice. And she turned around so early in my performance. So in a way, it was like somebody turned around. I'm on the show, and and then I kept going and being a country singer, I wanted Blake to turn around, and I kept waiting for him to turn around. And I was like, oh, he's going to turn around whenever the belting parts come at the end. And CeeLo turned around, but not Blake. So in some ways, it was kind of like, oh man, like I made the show, but I wanted to be on Team Blake. But it was a blessing being on Team Christina and getting to work with such an amazing artist as herself and an amazing person. And I learned so much from her. And that'll forever go down in history that I got to work with one of the most incredible artists out there. So it ended up being, a blessing in disguise, and I was able to work with someone who stylistically is close to me, and I got to be on national television. So regardless, it was, an incredible experience.
Absolutely. And tell us a little bit about something that, some advice maybe, or something that Christina was able to give you or offer you that you just totally changed things for you.
Billy Ann is one of the country artists. Now, there was only 2 of us that made the top 20. So, of course, I was thinking, maybe they don't want country, or maybe I should do something that is more top 40 or pop or rock. And so I gave her a ton of options for my song selections and told her how worried I was to do country. And she said, this is what you do best, and you have to go out there and do what Olivia does best, or it's not going to come across very well, and you're not going to perform as well as you would have, because you'd be always thinking, what if? So, that always being yourself was something that actually the very first producer that I tried out for in Atlanta told me, and it kind of resonated all the way through to the live show. So that was a really good thing that, she helped me feel very comfortable in my skin, and also to, make it Olivia, make each song, not sound like the original artist, or, play around with it a little bit to make it more original. And working with her, she gave me a lot of pointers and examples. And so I think that I've grown, 100% more as an artist than I was when I started the show. And it's all because of her and people behind the scenes that I was able to work with.
Well, I think it's such a great backstory, too, because I don't know that people would believe that kind of advice coming from a pop artist like Christina Aguilera. So it was great to know that she was still, stay true to your roots and not conform to, I mean, that's that, you're trying to see what I'm saying with the stereotypes that we sometimes catch ourselves in with pop culture and that kind of thing.
Oh, absolutely. And that's kind of how I felt too, because, being on a pop artist team and being the only country person on her team, when we had the conversation about doing Roar for my live performance, she said, but I don't want you to do it the pop way. I want to make it a country version, and I want this to be the only place people can purchase that version of the song, and it's going to be your version, and it's going to be always known in history as Olivia Henken's country version of Roar. So it was very, very, I guess, comforting to know that she wanted me to stay country, even though I was on her team. And I think she wanted to give Blake a run for his money. So we did our best, or I worked really hard with her, and unfortunately I wasn't able to stay as long as I had hoped, but I had an incredible experience out there.
Well, we're talking to Olivia Henken. You may know her from season 5 NBC's hit show, The Voice, and I'm so glad you turned and mentioned Roar, because I love your version of Roar. I'm not a huge fan of the popular one, to be honest, and I heard yours. There's so much energy there that really resonates with me, and I don't know if it's just the country spin on it or if it's just what you brought to the table that night, but I really do enjoy it, and we need a link to that on our make a note here to make sure we link to that YouTube video. So folks, if you haven't seen this yet for the first time, or you just want to relive that moment, we'll put a link there to the interview as well. And Olivia, you've been really busy since The Voice, though. I know you mentioned going back into the studio, but give folks a little bit of heads up on some of the things that you've already been doing. And I want to save Charlie Daniels for last, so we'll get to him last. So go ahead and touch on some of the other stuff.
I've been constantly doing shows around here, and a lot of appearances and different things for Louisville and the surrounding areas here in Kentucky and Indiana. But right now, I said on the show numerous times that I wanted to win The Voice, so I didn't have to work at my grandma's tax office anymore. So as I speak, I'm on my lunch break at my grandma's tax office. So right now it's kind of been busy season for us. So I've been doing that and juggling singing at the same time. So I'm moving to Nashville in May, and I'm excited to make that big move. I think that's something that I've needed to do for a while now, and I'm finally making the big step and moving down there, and I'm excited to see what's to come with writing and recording and performing down there. And I've got a lot coming up, a lot of gigs here in Louisville during Derby time, since that's what we're known for, and a lot of appearances coming up for that. So that's kind of my, next 5 months outlook, but hopefully in the next year or so I'll be out on the road or touring, or hopefully being played on the radio if things go the way I hope they do. But first is getting that EP recorded and start shopping it to some labels and some different people.
Sounds great. And you've got some really cool festivals that are coming up, some different appearances that are on your website, oliviacountry.com. Folks, you can check some dates there. We'll link to that. And I have to tell you, the name jumps off the screen at me when I see that you had a chance to perform, or at least be with Charlie Daniels, and I follow him on Twitter and everything like that. And the one thing I don't know where you want to come and weigh in on this at all. I'm probably putting you in a hot spot, which I don't mean to do, but I love Charlie's boldness about his faith. Charlie is all about who Charlie is, and I just love the purity of his soul, the purity of just being honest about who he is. And you were talking earlier about being honest, and it's funny that theme seems to be kind of part of what we're talking about today.
Yeah, absolutely. He's an incredible human being and such a sweet man. And I performed for him. I opened up for him at the Derby Eve Jam. I think it was 2 years ago, actually, during Derby. And I was able to go back afterwards and talk to him a little bit. And he was just so humble and welcoming to answer any and all questions that I had for him and the music business and his journey. And then he gets on stage, and it was an extremely hot day, and it was rainy and humid, and I was complaining about it being hot, and then he gets up there and just blows everybody away and playing the fiddle like nobody I've ever seen before. And I'm like, here I am complaining, and he's killing it. So I mean, I hope to one day be able to follow in the footsteps of a great like him, and to have people be proud of you and know that you're a good, humble person is something that I hope to always carry with me.
So do you still get people that are noticing you? You're at the grocery store, frozen foods, all those cliches. Say, wait a minute, I know who you are, but I don't know who you are. Or do they just come up to you like, hey, that's Olivia? What happened? Well, obviously in your hometown, I'm sure you're there in Louisville. Everybody kind of knows, at least a little bit.
Definitely,
right?
Definitely here in town. And I'll be doing someone's taxes, and they'll look down and realize who I am, and they'll be like, "Oh my gosh, the girl from The Voice is doing my taxes." And I'll look down at their return from last year and realize I did it last year too. And I'm like, I was here last year as well. And to me, it's just, it didn't seem like I was on national television, I guess, because you got to be so comfortable up there, and all the people that were around were your friends. So it didn't seem like such a huge, national TV show to me, and to go anywhere I go now, I get pretty much somebody comes up to me, but mostly young girls, which I think is sweet. I go speak at schools sometimes, and they're always the ones that always keep coming around and follow me on Twitter and Facebook, and I think that there's like 3 or 4 Instagram accounts from fans of mine, and it's such a unique experience that you never know what it feels like until you live it. And then, to know how many people stood behind me when I was on the show and that supported me and that still do, even though I haven't been on the show since December. So it's been an incredible experience, and I've gained a lot of friends and followers out of it. And I'm just so blessed to have all that.
What is the most inspiring message that you have for folks when you talk to them? You mentioned talking to younger kids in schools and that kind of thing. What is the thing you talk about whenever you try to give them some advice?
It's always be yourself. Like, I know that I growing up, I had the singing and the pageants and everything kind of as my backstory. And when people in school found out about it, I was kind of harassed and bullied about it. And looking back on it now, I never, boasted about it or talked about it because I didn't want anybody to know, because I just wanted to fit in. So I know that high school is really hard, and especially for girls, because girls can be so hateful. But it's just you have to be comfortable in your own skin and just always stand for what you know is right. And I know that there's a lot of bad role models out there for young girls, and I strive to be one of the positive ones that they can look up to, and that their families would be happy they brought home my album, not have a X-rated label on it or anything. So it's just always something that I've taken pride in, and my parents, taught me right and wrong, and I still work with my mom and my grandma. So I'm a very family-oriented person, and I just think that that's a strong backbone created all that for me. So I try to impact positivity on those young girls when I go see them.
Amen. We need more like that. So, Olivia, give everybody your Twitter handle and your Facebook. Let everybody know how they can kind of follow. If they're not already a friend or like your pages, they can get involved and kind of see what you're doing, especially as you head back to the studio.
Absolutely. It's oliviacountry.com is my website, and then Twitter is just Olivia Henken, Facebook is Olivia Henken Music, and Instagram is Olivia Henken as well.
Awesome. Thank you so much for fitting this in your schedule, and we'll let you get back to the day job for now, but we wish you well. We'll be praying for the EP to go well and find out how that turns out. Maybe we'll get a chance to talk then when it comes out.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
No problem, Olivia. Thank you so much. Take care.
You too. Bye-bye.